really look at it, what is the majority, the core Sangam literature, the priorities, is hugely secular. But that was not a religion, was not a central theme of the Sangam literature. All other labels all came later on. The Varna, caste, high, low, all these concepts are later addition. Otherwise, we are human. So otherwise, I don't belong to A or B. Did we know about Indus Valley civilization before 1924? No. Nobody know. We didn't know Harappa. We didn't know Mohenjo-daro. Very, very clearly, evidence is there. They say that Senjuvar. That means Sembu Punaindanna Senjuvar.
Yeah.
That means a kind of red color wall, as if it is made of copper. Then before Amarnath coming and choosing this place, did we know the importance of the Keezhadi?
Welcome to Southwest Viewers. Today I am happy to have Mr. R. Balakrishnan with us for an insightful conversation on the issues with ASI and recent development at Keezhadi and the roots of the Indus Valley civilization. Hello sir, thank you for joining us. Mr. R. Balakrishnan is a retired IAS officer with over 40 years of experience across India and the author of Journey of a Civilization, Indus to Vaigai. Not just professionally, but personally, I am glad to be talking with the scholar who studied Tamil literature. Since I am also student of Tamil literature and who cleared the UPSC exam in Tamil as part of the very first batch, besides authoring many books. Before we start, sir, I want to ask you a personal question. How did you end up joining UPSC, sir? Because you were a journalist before, I think. So is that right?
Yeah, I was a journalist.
So what motivates you to take a UPSC?
Yeah, because it's you can say that it's a chance in the sense that I am a first graduate in my family, but then nevertheless I had not written any other exam. I had not made attempt to any other job. So after finishing my PG, I ended up being a journalist because the job was offered to me by none other than A.N. Sivaraman, the very known editor of Dinamani. So I was working in Madurai. So while working there, I thought about writing civil services, and there is also a background. So long before that, I am 84 batch, wrote the exam in 83. So 10 years before that, in 1973, when I was doing my 10th standard, the word IAS and becoming a collector had been planted into my ears and my mind by none other than the great Kamaraj. So I had an opportunity to travel with him in a car. It's a midnight conversation. He asked me, why don't you write IAS and become a collector? So probably that was the back of my mind. But my immediate provocation was that as I was working in Dinamani, I felt like taking a shot. Then by the time 1979, that means the permission to write the civil service examination in any one of the Indian languages, the constitutional languages, and that permission was given in 79. So I made that opportunity. Probably had that such kind of permission not given, probably I would not have made it at that time. So the opportunity was available, I made it, and I'm glad that I got it in the very first attempt.
With your motivation, I may write the UPSC exam in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So let's get into the interview. So why does the past is more important? I mean, we have a lot more to handle these days. So how does the past is important?
It's a very good, very thought-provoking and in a way philosophical question also, I must say. When you look at it, present and future, obviously I would past, present and future. I would always like to live in the present and handle the issues of the present. And then keeping the eyes on future, how we are going to travel. The past and present is very, very important in that order. But then to understand your present, assess it, and plan for the future, the most important ingredient and input comes from the past. If you don't understand your past, probably you cannot have the right view about your strength, weaknesses, and priorities. So how our past was there. So in that sense only, the history become important. People normally talks about how important is history. History is very important. Not only that, I've been often saying that it's a well-known statement also. History is inevitable and inescapable. Even if you want to escape from history, you cannot.
Yes.
So because we are all carrying We are in a way, all the humans are a living history, part of a living history. We are carrying our past with us. So in that sense, understanding of the past probably helps us to understand the present very well and plan for the future. In that sense, a proper understanding of the past is very important.
Greatly said, sir. Without history, we don't have a future. Without past, we don't have future, right? So, how does Sangam literature help us to find evidence for finding our roots?
It's when you look at the literature, first let us say what type of literature you talk about. Normally, there are certain literature you classify as your classical language, classical literature. Like say Tamil classical text and Sanskrit classical text. There are certain texts are classified as an epic. Like for example, in Tamil, Silappadigaram, Manimekalai, and then say in North India, you will find that it's Sanskrit, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and that kind of. Then as a genre, some literature are classified as the spiritual literature. Then mean it's a basic input is religion. So like our Bhakti literature of the medieval Tamil Nadu, then prose, from poetry, prose, modern literature and all. So then in all these kind of categories, the Sangam literature stands apart because that it's essentially, it's not that in Sangam literature there is, what is its central theme? I feel that Sangam literature central theme is life.
Yes.
I mean, whether the life of the personal life, like a love or the longing for the falling in love, getting married, conducting your life, if that is categorized as a kind of a personal life, and then what is the achievement, going and earning money and fighting, all these are Puram. So these two, Agam and Puram, is constitute. In the entire scheme of Sangam literature, it's a multi-layered literature, like a Kurundogai, Natrinai, Agananuru, Aingurunuru. So all will come under the little deeper layer. But as a content-wise, you will also find the evidence for the little starting of the religious order also. But if you really look at it, what is the majority, the core Sangam literature, the priorities, is hugely secular. Secular in the sense that you don't have to think that whether they had no faith in God or like that, they did not have any kind of belief system. No, they must have had a belief system, but that was not a religion, was not a central theme of the Sangam literature. So that means, particularly when you talk about the love life, no individual name is mentioned.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the what you call the Purapadalgal, that means the life which talks about the achievements, it will go in the name of A or B or C or X king or Y king. So that means you will eulogize and may take a great statement about him, his victories and all. There will be an exaggeration will be there. But in love poem, no individual name is mentioned.
That's
That means
Talaivan, Talaivi.
Talaivan, Talaivi, the hero, heroine, and then hero's friend, heroine's friend, hero's mother, heroine's mother, like that. So it is about generic characters. So that's, you don't talk about a XO life or the A's love and B's love. So in the process, you have a greater tendency to be more truthful to the actual reality of life. If you really look at the Sangam literature, the way it treats nature is a very topocentric, land-centric. The entire culture is woven around the living situations. So that means the scope for telling a down-to-earth life is very much minimized. That means it is a close observation. So I always give more importance to Sangam text because it is more closer to the earth, more closer to the sea, more closer to the life. That means more closer to the heart. So in the process, the observation of Sangam literature is more accurate. So in such a kind of literature, it talks about certain things mean comparatively, it needs to be taken seriously. If a particular literature is a religion, is a theme, or a bhakti cult and all, then there will be a lot of faith and then epic when it comes to that the hero will be invincible. He will not have any weakness. It will be revolving around him. So Sangam literature is very close to life. That is the reason I like it. And then I have a strong feeling, because it has got a close observation, the possibility of Sangam literature representing the life of those days are greater than compared with any other literature.
It's fascinating to deeply understand the Sangam literature, sir. Thank you. From your words.
Take another thing example. Suppose that Ramayana has been written, a phenomenal poetry written by Kambal. But the story theme is from Ramayana. is written in the medieval period. So whatever the what you call the description given in the Ramayana poetry, does it reflect the life of that century in Tamil Nadu? I will say no, not necessarily not, because it's a beautiful poetry. But then Sangam was closer to the soil, closer to the river, closer to the stream, closer to the tree, and closer to the insect. So the treatment was very close. So that is the reason I like Sangam text very much.
Since you mentioned Ramayana, so whose children are we, sir? Rama, Ravana. You believe in evidence only. You believe in facts. So there are multiple saying like we are children of Rama or Ravana. So who are we?
We are the humans. That's all. I will take it. I will talk in terms of Homo sapiens or modern man. I won't identify myself with any individual epic character. None, because I'm just human, and that's what truth is. In fact, if you really look at it, all humans are actually in a way migrants.
Yes.
And then some people may not believe in people origin, how the species moved, how the earth behaved, how the evolution takes place. Even today, we are carrying 2% of the gene of the Neanderthals. So they are no longer in the living in the earth, but then we are still getting some kind of genetic element. So that means what to talk about it. All other labels all came later on. The Varna, caste, high, low, all these concepts are later addition. Otherwise, we are humans. So otherwise, I don't belong to A or B.
Why is the ASI delaying the release of the Keezhadi report for 2 years? What takes this long time?
Actually, to be fair to everybody, okay, we feel that they're delaying. So they may consider that the delaying is their normal. So that means I am looking at this way. On one side, the truth remains, fact remains that what Amarnath Ramakrishnan report deals with the 2014-15, around that time, 14, 15, 16, around that time, phase 1 and phase 2, these two excavations. Third also was done by ASI. So ASI did the taking. By the time Amarnath Ramakrishna had been taken out of that charge, he was transferred. So then subsequently, people went to the intervention of the judiciary. So first two, Amarnath gives an impression that a huge finding has come. He was very excited. He was explaining. We saw him in media. And then there was also articles came out that some findings in Keezhadi is resembling Harappan civilization. This kind of talk was going on. And then third, same ASI did it. That archaeologist, again, he is again a professional archaeologist. He gave an impression, nothing great is to be seen. Okay, they gave an impression. What they mean to you don't know, but the impression was that it's not going to be continued. Nothing more to dig type of thing. So that people went to court. I say that no, a lot of things were found in Amarnath Ramakrishnan. Yeah. Now they are not giving fund. They are going to stop it seems. So then somebody took an order that the Keezhadi excavation should continue. And Tamil Nadu government should approach ASI getting a permission. So then Tamil Nadu ASI, Tamil Nadu Archaeology Department comes to picture. Mr. Uday Chandran was at that time the archaeology commissioner. He was there. And then the government took the permission, started doing it. So from 4th to till 10th, last one, it has been thoroughly done only by the Tamil Nadu government archaeology. And they have come out with the finding. Simultaneously, it was coming to the media. Actually, we have to understand one thing, that we are no longer living in the age of Alexander Ring or Adichanallur 1904 or 1924 of the Indus Valley. We are living in 2025. We are living in the time of the social media age. Things are just like that. Whatever happening, people are live reporting. Nothing is secret kind of thing. So in this kind of scenario, since people come to know what is being found, what is happening and all, the huge amount of enthusiasm created about Keezhadi. So the Keezhadi, Sivagalai, Vembakotai, Kurkai, again Adichanallur again. So all this particular new digging created a huge amount of enthusiasm. So in the process, when they find that they have the details of the subsequent excavation, based on that, Arungachiyagam, a kind of a museum has been created, site museum has been created by the Tamil Nadu archaeology at Keezhadi itself. So then people ask questions. okay, subsequent is resulted in a museum. What happened to first report and second report? It was not ready. Then again, he was given again judicial intervention. Ultimately, he wrote and submitted 2 years back.
Yeah.
So after 2 years, certain corrections have been asked. And then he was asked to give. I read it paper that he has refused. He said that he is standing by his report. Nothing to be changed. What I have based on the evidence only I given. So the matter remains there. So our expectation, people interested in history and archaeology, we are actually wanting this to come to the public scrutiny. We need to keep it one thing in mind. An archaeology report, recently also I read that how the archaeology evidence was handled in Ayodhya, how it was handled in other places. So people made a comparative studies and they argued. And then why this much of questions being about that is more rather what is more important? It's not Amarnath Ramakrishnan or Satyamurti or A, B or thing. It's more important is that why Adichanallur report got delayed for 15 years? Why Keezhadi report is getting delayed? Is there anything a larger picture? That is more important to ponder over than individual questions.
So you believe that these findings wouldn't surprise John Marshall or K.M. Dixit, because they predicted, and they are not just predicted, they derived that Indus Valley civilization and Madurai has connections between them with lots of trade and agriculture and much things. So from your perspective, what exactly makes Amarnath's findings at Keezhadi so significant to the time?
For that, you need to first start with John Marshall, the very famous historian based in Delhi. Nayan Jyoth Lagri, she had written an excellent book about the forgotten cities, about the Indus towns and all cities there. She has written an excellent book. She uses actually, she describes the mind of the John Marshall. There is the Sherlock Holmes, the character. There is a Sherlock Holmes in him, she says. I mean, very detective, very enthusiastic, very energetic. Sherlock Holmes type of personality of the John Marshall. If such a personality, a 26-year-old coming to India, a young man with an open mind. More importantly, in some other interview also I told, fortunately for us, a person like John Marshall arrived in India with an open mind. Very more importantly, he was not a scholar in any of the Indian languages. So that is the reason probably we had a thing. So the people in South, particularly in Tamil Nadu, all through they had a grievance. When Sundaram Pillai writes a letter to Vincent Smith, telling that why history is always starting in the north, Gangetic Valley, Chandragupta Maurya, Sunga dynasty, Harsavartana, Pulikesi, then as a substract, South Indian history type of thing. But for K. Nilakanta Sastri, people would not have even known it. So then he wrote a letter that why history should not start from the river Krishna, Kaveri, that kind of thing. He wrote letter. And then at that time, howsoever sympathetic for that Vincent Smith could be, he said, as things stand out, we don't have much of evidence on hand to change the narrative. That's what he mentioned sometime in 31 texts. But then by 1924, John Marshall has announced it. But I consider the significant thing. John Marshall gave an indication in 1931 report. He said Indus Valley civilization is a pre-Vedic, non-Vedic, and probably Dravidic. He uses the terminology 1931 when it came as a book. But more importantly, immediately after 1924 report, S.K. Chatterjee, I really adore him. For simple reason, he is a linguist. And then he is from Bengal. He has no personal, emotional involvement with the Tamil Nadu. He studies all the material. He sees the Adichanallur. He knows Caldwell's Dravidian etymological, comparative grammar of Dravidian languages. Having all the information as a linguist, he says it is a pre-Vedic, non-Vedic, not connected with Aryan. Mostly it's a Dravidian. He says a Dravidian origins. And he also mentioned that probably some evidence will be available in the early Tamil text. All these things he has told in 1924. What we are right now talking is only we are talking the same thing with more evidence. That is what I can say. We are not something you discovered something new. And also more importantly, next to came the KNTC. KNTC makes a statement in 1935 in Madras and telling that if you really do a proper excavation in Korkai, exactly Korkai, Tirunelveli area, you will find an evidence which will take you closer to the Indus Valley civilization or sometime later. He tells in 1935. Actually, no one acted on him. So that way is a very huge apathy, a kind of negligence, I must say. Southern archaeology was not pursued properly. Even Satyamurthy report was delayed by 15 years. So to that extent, there is a kind of a narrative. That is the reason I am telling that history is nothing but a narrative. It's not a rocket science. Even science can be questioned. So in that process, my take on history is only it should be as much as possible should be evidence based. We should be in a position to defend what we write. You must have, I don't know, you must have read Journey of a Civilization. I subsequently translated in Tamil, the Panbatin Payanam, Sindhu Mudal Vaigai Varai. If you read those books, it's a huge one. But putting the evidence, new evidence before the people who read it and asking them to take a call. In fact, having said everything, then finally it looks, it seems, I propose, then still calling it a hypothesis. I remember in 2016, after that, when 2018, when I made the pot root talk in the Rojamatiya Research Library, we were surprised to get the presence of the Iravatham Mahadevan. He was not well, and then he made it. So we were surprised. And when he is entering the meeting hall, myself and Mr. Sundar, director of RMRL, we received him, and then we had kept a small exhibition. He was actually asking me and Sundar that having produced this many evidence, we call it a Dravidian hypothesis of the Indus Valley civilization. Why are we not saying that it is Dravidian? This is the probably last time we met him, and this was the last public function he attended. And his last article before he death, it is Kenoyer's lecture, there he talks about my research and other things. But still, we still talk hypothesis, it looks like it. Because today what we consider as a kind of finding, tomorrow it may undergo change because a new evidence may come. So then it's better to talk, even in science, there is no finite kind of thing and all. So you cannot use the word kind of, that kind of determined word and coming to a conclusion and all. That is the reason we have to put it in evidence. At the same time, we have to approach the past with a lot of humility, with a lot of responsibility, and with a care. It's something like sometimes you when you go to the airport, you get some fragile material, and then it's always handled with care. So fragile. I think I have a feeling history belongs to people. It's a right. It needs to be handled with care.
Yeah. So talking about a conclusion. So in a letter to Amarnath by ASI, they have mentioned that dating must be based on AMS and stratigraphic details. And they mentioned that the earliest period may go back only to pre-300 BCE. So how are they coming to that conclusion? Like, haven't we provided enough evidence to suggest an early age?
No, it would be a bit unfair to Amarnath as well as to ASI. If I join in between a conversation like this, where he has submitted a report, and ASI has asked a few questions, citing a few to external vetting opinion, he has replied back and saying that I stand by what I wrote. So it is basically, finally, probably with this observation, probably they are also entitled to have an observation, though it is an unprecedented. So probably they can make that remark. I said he is submitted. We asked this question. He has given this answer, and then it's put to the public. So people will read with both the observation, and then the informed scholars will come to their own conclusion. Because no individual, because before 19, you have to think about it. There is nothing very greatly permanent about any understanding. I have a great faith in the fluid nature of information. What about, did we know about Indus Valley civilization before 1924? No. Nobody know. We didn't know Harappa, we didn't know Mohenjo-daro. Then before Amarnath coming and choosing this place, did we know the importance of the Keezhadi?
No.
Before Alexander Ree coming and digging, did we know about the Adichanallur?
Big no.
No. So that means what is tomorrow something may come. So in the process, it is better the concerned people handle it. But overall, our expectation will be that wherever it happens, whether something really verifiable truth comes from A place or B place, more than important, particularly the identity. I have been talking about the cultural politics, the politics of history. It is basically a kind of a narratives built around. So I believe in India's plural narrative because I worked with the tribals of India, almost visited so many tribals. You understand the native intelligence, the importance, their medicine knowledge. I have every time I wonder, but then in our history don't even figure. Their language don't figure. Their knowledge doesn't figure. So probably a kind of history which is more inclusive, more accommodative, more plural, and more open-minded. That can only take us forward. That only can guarantee our future also. So that is the reason past is important.
Yes, sir. So, speaking about Iron Age. So, based on the discoveries at Adichanallur and Sivagalai, it is said that the Iron Age existed in Tamil Nadu more than 5,350 years ago. Yes. So, not just iron tools, but we have iron melting technology in that period. So, that means iron itself must have existed even earlier, possibly 1,000 years before that. So, what is the world is saying about, like, does the world accepted our findings?
No, I seen that report because they were put to the views of the people, scholars, and then they're taken their opinion. They also tested in the different laboratories. They are Rajan, and they come out with a kind of a report. I seen that report. It makes me happy that an iron melting or metallurgy flourished in Tamil Nadu long back and much before what we expected. But then I would like to strike a note where iron, the antiquity of iron in Tamil Nadu, and then some people even asked me, what is these findings implication on your understanding of the Indus Valley civilization and its probable the linguistic affiliation with the Dravidian family, and particularly with its connection legacy in the ancient Tamil text. Some people even asked me. I said there is absolutely no change or difference. I rather feel more happy because Sangam literature celebrates metallurgy and then the technology, how the smeltering takes place, and that blacksmith, goldsmith, all kind of artisans are being discussed in Sangam literature. And it talks about the two important metal. That is, one is bronze, copper, bronze. Another is iron. So then, if one literature talks more about the bronze in the classical literature, that's only Sangam literature. And then context, if you really look at it, Sangam text, iron by nature, that's a very sturdy and hard metal. So that metal will be used for the making weapons, armory, and then used for the plowing, tilling, and the sickle, and to cut something. It's a very stronger thing. So then Sangam text exactly putting the utility of the iron in the context, three contexts. One context is agriculture related implements. Second is a war related, like equipments and the armory weapons. Third is that day-to-day utility, like even scissor is being talked about. So that means very utilitarian thing, and second thing warfare related and agriculture related. These are three contexts. But when it comes to the copper, bronze, that kind of material, it is always actually you don't get that much of raw material for the copper. Bronze is an alloy. So in India, you will find more iron than the copper. Copper is a rare material. It's a prestige material. But the context Sangam text uses in the more urban context, it gives the simile. The walls of a town looking like as if it is made of copper. That means what? It's very strong, sturdy, but it looks like as if made on copper. Means it's not only sturdy but color also. Then probably they meant actually. It's very very clearly evidence is there. They say that senjuvar. That means sembu punaindanna senjuvar. That means a kind of red color wall as if it is made of copper. Then Sembu Punain Dietria say Nerum Purisai. That means a huge wall as if it is made of copper. That means all the time when the copper bronze is used, it is used in the context of the urban wall, that kind of thing. So that is what the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa all about it. So that way I feel that the pride about the iron and the pride about the copper bronze, both are the in Sangam text only stands witness to that. So I feel that it's happy to know about this thing, but it doesn't make any difference for the claim, a civilization claim. Rather, it actually is strengthening it.
Yeah.
So that means the people who are very good in metallurgy will continue the which metal they will handle depending on what ore available in a particular location. So if there is an iron, then there is an iron metallurgy, and if it is only copper available, copper metallurgy. But there are many places in the world got into the iron age without going through the bronze age. So that way you have to take it the contextually. Yeah. It's a good news.
So currently we are getting only evidence, scientific evidence, but we have everything written in Sangam literature already.
Yeah, Sangam literature. I'm fascinated by that. I will not say that, I would never say that whatever Sangam literature has written, it's an article of faith or a gospel truth. No literature. I will never bat for a literature. Whatever it says is correct. There may be exaggeration. There may be a kind of some poetic, but then it's more closer to the truth. When you look what described in Sangam literature, you are finding the same material as an archaeological evidence. So here the archaeology validates literature. Rather, whether they say if the archaeology is not found, then people say it's a literature. Okay, it's literature, some poetry. But when the archaeology proves that particular statement, then it increases the credibility of that literature. For that, to that extent, I consider the Sangam literature, the credibility is hugely enhanced by the archaeological findings.
According to our constitution, 7th schedule, this archaeology comes under a concurrent list. So, can't the Tamil Nadu government publish the Keezhadi report on its own,
No,
like without waiting for
I don't think so, because these two are, ASI is a union government organization. Yeah. Tamil Nadu has got its own directorate of archaeology. If they do a excavation, they will submit a report. So,
can't we publish it on our own?
How come? He is working for ASI. ASI has done the excavation. They will submit a report. It's nothing to do with the Tamil Nadu government. You may get they have to submit, publish the report of what excavation they have done.
So when we face hurdles like this,
I think that basically it falls in thing. It must be a temporary phenomenon. I'm optimistic. Ultimately, people are having a huge awareness. Then people are now talking about Keezhadi. I think that ultimately there is nothing can be hidden. And I think it will come. It's a matter of time. I think. I'm still optimistic. Okay. I don't come to a conclusion, sir.
Sure. As you said, legends like John Marshall and K.M. Dikshit once led ASI and contributed to major discoveries. Do you feel ASI today has become a tool of ruling government? In recent times, we often see them digging up mass instead of new and ancient sites. Is the ASI legacy in fall continue?
No. You have to see in the historical context, things keep changing. I'll tell you. In 50s and 60s also, I think scholarship actually. I have seen the individual archaeologists. They keep changing. They will be talking in the early part of their life something, towards the end of their career, they talk something different. So what we should do, actually, I normally never consider, you must have seen that in all my articulation, I bet for pluralism. Any truth find anywhere in India, I would welcome. I think I will be more happier if the Keezhadi report is published. I will be very, very happy. And then the role of people like John Marshall is my hero. K.N. Dikshit, one of the greatest, honest archaeological director general, I will consider, because he was not looking at it whether he is talking about the Tamil Nadu or whether he is talking about Gujarat. He was not. He comes and says that you will find an evidence, you dig it. So that means they are all professionals. So that way, but for I am very much doubt. But for John Marshall, because the digging was done by somebody, you must know that you will be surprised. No, when the John Marshall announced about the Harappa Mohenjo-daro, he had not even visited. He only made announcement. The announcement will be always made by the DG. But then the conclusion, somebody does it in Harappa, somebody does it in Mohenjo-daro, 600 kilometers difference. He puts all the material together in Simla, and after seeing both, he says it's not local culture, it's a civilization. That particular intuitive sort mind, only we are celebrating. That is the reason there is a huge statue, lifetime statue for John Marshall. Tamil Nadu is the only place which celebrated. That way, these are the people, John Marshall, H.K. Chatterjee, then K.N. Dixit, Asko Parpola, Iravatham Mahadevan. Not 1% or 2% talking about
obviously you, sir.
No, we are that future will decide.
So in Indus Valley civilization, your discoveries are very important too. Like so, one of the most important discoveries in your work is the continuity of pottery symbols. So you tracked every way, all the way. So how do these symbols found in Vaigai River sites resemble those from the Indus Valley? Can you explain briefly?
I would rather pottery. I have talked about it. My aim is to project the Sangam literature as a legacy holder. That means with a carried forward memory. I feel that more important finding in my research, I consider when I published in 2012, I came out with a finding which my mentor Iravatham Mahadevan was very happy about it. He has elaborately mentioned in his last article in 2018, that is the high west, low east dichotomy of the Indus town planning. He said, which I consider the Dravidian paradigm. I use the linguistics method to reconstruct the minds when you give the name to the directions. So in Dravidian languages, I found that the terminology used for denoting the west is the same term used for the denoting height. Then the terminology used for the east is a terminology used for the low. So then because it is a topocentric, so topocentric approach, they are thinking in terms of the altitude. It's a highland, lowland, a hill area. A hill fellow will always think like that. Whereas Indo-Aryan languages like Sanskrit thinks an anthropocentric, I call it, looking a man standing before the sun. What is in front of him is the east, Prachin, Purva kind of thing. What is behind him is the west, Pakshim kind of thing and all. So keeping this one, I reconstructed wherever there is a natural mound is there, they used it. And then with the natural mound is not there, they were constructing platform. The western side platform higher than the lower side platform. So this was only first revealing the mind of the Indus town planner. Of course, many other evidences like pot root, and then the Dravidian Maharashtra, Dravidian Gujarat, and place name evidence. I will use it. How the stories traveled, the symbolism of the Vandi tree, the story of the Kankai Mata, and so many evidence are there. But I'm glad that I could afford to travel all over the country and gather this evidence and come out with books.